Trigger warning. This episode discusses themes of violence against women, including sexual violence, which may be distressing for some listeners. If you or someone you know needs support, please reach out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE or the National Sexual Assault Hotline at 1-800-656-HOPE. You are not alone, and help is available. Thank you for listening. All right, everyone. So I am sitting down today with Miss Terra Newell, and we are coming up at the tail end of October's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And Tara and I have been having some conversations outside, just talking about, how we are watching DV in the media, because I know for you, it's like we are on the same wavelength here. And I think this was really prevalent, especially with the Diddy stuff coming out. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk to you about the initiative that you're currently doing with these survivor bags. So can you tell me more about that?
Yes, yes. So let me actually get a little clip pulled up of why we're actually doing the survivor bags because I did partner with Haley Gray. Haley Gray research. She hit me up. She is a ethical true crime researcher. And she hit me up along with Moms and Mysteries, Navigating Advocacy, and then also Weird True Crime joined with us. And so these bags are inspired by Rebecca's Legacy, a project created by Angela, the mother of Rebecca Bar Soto. Sodi. Sorry, hopefully I said that right. I never want to mess up a victim's last name. Who experienced domestic violence. Angela has been donating these bags in Rebecca's memory, and I'm honored to carry on this heartfelt mission as well, and
Mm.
I've also done DV bags before as well. So that's why I was kind of like, when I got hit up by this, I was really inclined to do it because I have all the resources. When you kind of done something before, you have a system to do it.
Yeah.
And so I was going to partner with this one organization, but now the bags are going to go to someone at the District Attorney of LA to help with DV victims over there. But I do have three bags that are going to one is a mom and then her two sons because she actually hit me up and she was like, "Where are the bags going?" And
Oh,
I told her the organization in Orange County that's local to me that I've donated to before. And she unfortunately told me that they had not helped her.
ah,
And this is actually really common for
yeah,
DV survivors,
yeah,
women trying to get help. Sometimes they won't help because it might be a women's only place. She
right.
has two boys. I don't know if that's the circumstance for her or not, but that could just be one of the reasons. Another reason would be if you have any legal sort of stuff going on, they might not take you for that. But it's good to always try and see where you could get in because I don't want to discourage anyone from hitting up those places because
Yeah,
you never know when they will help you. So always ask for help. And if you can't find help, see other people, see people that are
yeah.
doing these bags and stuff. And literally, if you are a survivor leaving and escaping the situation, I'm going to keep a few extra bags just to have on hand as well.
Mm, that's amazing. And you're touching on something really important in that, sometimes those resources aren't available to you immediately. And I know I had a survivor reach out and that exact thing was happening. They couldn't figure out where they could go because they were trying to, find shelter and escaping. So, you know, someone like yourself or me, we can try to brainstorm and see, what other resources we can come up with. But I thank you so much for doing that. That's really important work. And I'm glad you're doing that on the behalf of that memory too. So thanks, Tara. Seriously, thank you for
Of
championing
course. Thanks.
that.
And also, like, if you are, since you mentioned that too, if you are a survivor, you have a job that has sick day leaves, and you could actually get paid for those sick days sometimes,
Wow.
to escape domestic violence.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't even know that. So
In
that was kind
California, you can.
of in California.
Yes.
Uh, thank you for sharing. So, all right. I want to talk about real quick before we get into the secret lives of Mormon wives, but P. Diddy. This is someone that I feel like there's news breaking every single day and a new lawsuit. I believe I just read one about a 10-year-old boy who was raped by Diddy. And I think it's important that we have this conversation because months ago there was a video circulating of Cassie and Diddy at the hotel, and this was such a jarring thing to see. I remember opening Instagram and this was plastered all over my feed, and I couldn't escape it. What was that like for you to see?
It was actually really interesting. I did a podcast episode with Vanessa Reiser, who is a narcissistic abuse expert. She's also a psychologist, and then she's also a coach because therapists, they can only really do therapy in the states that they're in.
Yeah.
So she is a coach as well for other states. And it was really jarring seeing it. I really just felt for Cassie in that moment with her trauma being plastered all over the internet and
Yes.
wondering if she even consented to this video being out there.
Yep, that was my exact question. And as a DV survivor myself, I could not handle that if that was the other way around, if that were me. And I do remember asking that question, did she authorize this? Was she okay for that to be circulated? But I think it was also this upsetting thing because it was all of a sudden just normalized and
Yeah.
everyone is sharing it on their stories. And like I don't know at what point as a society we say, okay, it's one thing to understand that this violent crime is happening again and again, but it's a whole other to make it like a media, thing and its presence. And so what can we do as, you know, people who are on social media? Like, what should we tell people to do if you see something like that? Should we be reposting that, or what do you think?
I say do your due diligence of research.
Yeah.
I say the first thing you should Google or look up is the family wanting this video out there? And there was another example of this terrible video of a suitcase.
Mhm.
And someone was like begging for their life in a suitcase. And
Right.
that video was going out there about the victim. That victim was actually unalived. And so you have to think like, is it okay to repost that worst moment of that person? And it's usually okay if that person's trying to spread awareness
Yeah.
or if they're like, this happened to me and I want to tell my story. But Cassie wasn't posting that video herself. And that's
Exactly. Yeah.
my first line of reference is the survivor posting anything themselves.
hmm hmm And it's so true. I think also, you know, these news outlets are also posting this. And as we know, like I said, these new allegations come out almost daily about him. And I know we are going to see a lot more celebrities being named in this. I think that's another thing that I want to talk about is that there's a lot of speculation about other celebrities who might be involved in this level of violence just because they attended Diddy's white parties. That I always heard about, growing up and paying attention to what's going on in Hollywood. Can we talk about that for a minute? About just being like, oh, well, this person is probably, a part of this, sex trafficking and his, what were they called? Now I can't think of what he called his party, like the really, really bad stuff.
Oh,
With
yeah.
his baby oil and all of that. Obviously the truth will come to light, but there is a danger of just throwing out allegations or saying that someone is a perpetrator. I mean, not because I'm a very big Beyonce fan, but watching people, vilify her when she hasn't been named in a single legal document right now. And obviously that's not discouraging her from her work or anything like that, but I think we can also put that into perspective in our own real lives and the dangers of calling someone an abuser without any type of evidence behind that. Yeah, what do you think about that?
I think that there are people involved, but I don't know who,
Yeah,
and you can't necessarily judge it by the people that are closest to them because those people might have been groomed as well,
yeah. hmm
you
Or
know?
you don't know if they were potentially, I hate to say it, but like they could have been under, some type of influence of drugs as well and not understanding, their environment or whatnot. But I think there is a danger of throwing out allegations like that. So just being mindful of this type of trauma being exposed in the media and what you're sharing and how you're sharing this information. I'm glad, as a society, we're having these conversations because I think we
Yeah.
are starting to see that, okay, yes, we understand that domestic violence does happen, but we're watching this on such a entertainment level of it. So, with that
Yeah.
being said, the secret lives of Mormon wives.
Oh my gosh, I think I texted you right away or something.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah. And you
Yes.
were like, is this how Utah really is?
What about the swing places? Are those everywhere?
Oh, everywhere. There's two near me, and I'm trying to think of the distance of it. I think they're like a mile and a half apart from each other. They are everywhere. And Swig isn't the only one. We've got other soda shops too.
Gosh. Okay, like I've always like I don't know, but my mom has always like never raised me on soda. Like soda was a
Mm,
treat.
yeah.
And it's so funny seeing everyone so addicted to the sodas. And I'm like, I don't like, I'm like, it rots your teeth.
Yeah. I will tell you, it is, I never realized that it was actually a cultural thing here in Utah because now that I have Real Housewives of Salt Lake City and this show, I'm finally realizing, oh, we are kind of in our own world here in Utah. I'll give you an example. Some of my Mormon friends growing up, they had actual fountain, like soda machines in their homes. I'm
Oh,
not kidding. Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Like that's how prevalent soda is. And it's this culture because in Mormonism you're not allowed to have coffee and really any caffeine. But like just recently, Brigham Young University just put like actual sodas in their cafeterias and because they didn't have it before. So there is kind of like this cultural shift happening and I attribute it to the younger generations. But soda has always been such a huge thing in Utah, and it is so weird.
I'm like a straight up water person. I
Yeah.
love my alkaline water. I
Mm.
like to try to reuse my water. I like to go refill my water. So
Yeah.
like I can't like if I do like go out at night
Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
and I'm in a social setting, I will get like a Coca-Cola to like fit into the vibe.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm technically drinking a Dr. Pepper right now in my Stanley.
Utah Ian. Utah Ian.
I'm fully, yeah. I mean, just my Utah is showing. I only drink soda like just like you, like on special occasions or
Okay.
with your water. Um, but like for me, because I don't drink alcohol, like it gives me like a little bit of a pep, if you will. But today has
Yeah.
been a day where I'm dragging because I have a toddler and she is teething. So I
Do
needed
you
that
not
jolt. But
do coffee?
mhm,
Do
I
you do
don't.
coffee?
I don't. Mm-mm.
Oh my
I
God. Oh,
used to,
okay.
but
Lived in LA.
yeah. I mean, I'm more of like your chai drinker, if you will. I do like, I don't know, that kind of stuff. But Yeah, no, coffee is, and that's the other thing too. You'll like Salt Lake City directly has more of a liberal influence. I'll say that. But once you start getting into like the little outskirts of Salt Lake City, actually where a lot of the Mormon wives live, that's when you start like seeing that separation. But one of the things that I think you asked me about was just like, I have so many questions. And I keep having people say that to
Yes.
me, like, I have so many questions about Utah now. And but with that being said, this show for me watching it. I didn't know what to expect. Like I really had I don't want to say low expectations, but I was just waiting for it to be kind of like Real Housewives, but just with younger women. But when I say I got to that second episode, my mind started shifting a bit because I started seeing this society that I have lived in for over 30 years, and it is very much to the patriarchy. And you know, I didn't know what to think about Taylor Frankie Paul before watching this, but something inside of me was like, there's something going on with her, and I don't know what it is. And finally watching the show, I was like, there it is. So I want to pivot a little bit and like I would love to hear your perception of her, like an not a Utah and what your thoughts were.
Well, I always want to be kind in how I
Yeah.
try to talk about someone, especially since they're not here to talk about their
Yeah.
story themselves.
Yeah.
But I do see extreme amount of trauma.
Hmm. Hmm.
I see someone that has, I think honestly, like she came out about everything. She's honest,
Yeah.
she's out there, and there's so many other people out there that are hiding, that are shady. And
Yes.
to me, her coming out about the swinger stuff like shows remorse to me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I did see a TikTok where they're all putting like candy into a big bowl and
Hmm.
they talk about some of their trauma. And then she mentioned that she met her dad for the first time and he was like, "What's up, kid?" And
Mm.
so for me, tells me that she doesn't come from the best father
Yeah.
in a sense. And,
Yeah.
going back into attachment in early childhood, she's going to have a dysregulated attachment because of that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I see her maybe, and this is like things that I've done in my relationship too. So maybe I'm not in like the last one at all or like the last two, but like things that I have done in my early years in high school and like would have been college years. But just the fact that I would give in to these guys and I would not know and I would party with them and I would accept abuse that would happen, like
Yes.
literally getting slapped in the face and like have your ears ringing and stuff, you know, even like having rape happen and stuff. And
Yeah.
when I saw the footage that you saw
Yeah.
um happen, it made me think back to all the drug addicts I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't have definitive proof. I only have had seen, them mention that he was an ex-drug addict and whatnot. But I did see evidence of like the pin needle eyes.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, when a woman is being very reactive, there's, I mean, and, not saying all women are 100% mentally stable or not narcissist or anything. But usually, in the case of domestic violence, it's usually most of the time a male and a female dynamic.
Hmm.
And it's the woman not necessarily acting in control because I want to say reacting to what
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And I saw from that, like he shoved her into her garage.
Yeah.
He didn't live there.
Yeah.
He had every ounce of him could have been like, you know what? You're very reactive right now. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah.
Or you're very reactive right now. How can I get you to calm down? An a man doesn't just throw a woman in the freaking garage and shoves her in there.
Yeah.
And when a woman or someone is touched like that, I would get reactive. I might start throwing chairs.
Yeah.
I might want to do anything and everything I can do to get this guy away from me.
That's the truth. And so we are referring to the body cam footage of Taylor, Frankie, Paul, and Dakota. And I recently shared my story and shared that I am too a DV survivor. And the story that I shared, I explained that my ex was on drugs. And watching Taylor and hearing her say that she peed herself because she was so scared of him. And I understand that people very much are angry that she threw a chair and it did hit her child. And she also talks about this very extensively in the Vile Files episode. And it occurred to me that, just like you said, she may have been trying to fight him off. She may have tried, to do what she can to get away from him. And knowing that he said he wasn't sober in that moment either. They both had been drinking and you were in survival mode. And I do not under any circumstances believe that she was trying to harm her child. And if anything, that's when I started actually following her on social media and watching Taylor make videos of her get ready with me. I'm going to therapy. She talked about getting on medication for her depression and anxiety. She has been so vulnerable on that. And then watching her, show her house. It was in a disarray and she would clean it up and trying to get, her kids together. And that's why I didn't know what to think when I watched this show because I didn't know the level of vulnerability that she was going to have, but I also knew that she was still with Dakota. And I think that's what made me nervous of, watching that, but then hearing her in the show, her being like, I don't want to marry him right now. I don't know if I even want to be with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's really admirable because she is being so vulnerable and I'm so proud of her. I don't know her. I do have people who are close to her that are in my orbit. Um but I just hope people understand that you're right. Like there are a lot of things that she has opened up recently about her trauma and her parents are one of those things and I very much can see the dynamics of her relationship with her mom too. I don't know. Did that strike you as well, kind of like how their conversations would go?
I I felt like her mom was very, and maybe things had changed.
Hmm.
But in the series, from the conversations that I did see they were very accusatory.
Yeah.
They were like very blamey, very shameful.
Yeah.
And there can't be healing from shame.
Hmm. Hmm.
There has to be love and acceptance. And even if you are mad at someone, you're mad as hell at them, and you
Yeah.
still love at them,
Yeah.
you have to lean into that love somehow. I know it's hard at times.
1000%.
Yes. And I'm not perfect either. I haven't like
Yep.
followed exactly this line at times too, but here's the thing, I would never, ever, ever shame anyone for trauma.
Yeah.
And
Nope.
that's what I saw.
Yeah. Yeah. And I really want to stress to everyone that lives outside of Utah, our culture here is fucked. I'm just going to be straight up because watching not just Taylor, but now watching Jen Affleck with Zach. Zach, you are the epitome of a Utah man
Gosh.
and not in the best way because there is this level of control and I even said to my husband because my husband watched the series with me and I said to him, "Holy hell. He is reminding me of every single person that I have dated before you."
Oh my gosh.
And I said, "Oh my God, this is an actual cultural thing." And us women, we do not have very many rights, first of all, being in a red state. But with that being said, because the influence of this church, it is so prevalent that we as women have been conditioned to let the man take the lead, let them be our boss, if you will. And so when I shared, that I was in this abusive relationship with my ex, he was not LDS. I'm not LDS. We came from both a Catholic background, but it was like glaring to me that, oh my God, no, like this is Utah. This is
Gosh.
Utah. So when I see, people making TikToks and or they're having these conversations about Jen and about Taylor, and why can't they just see these red flags? Why can't they? I'm telling you, people,
It's
it
not
took
that
it is
easy.
not that easy. And when all of your friends are going through it too, you normalize it. You realize like this is it. But then now knowing that, people are trying to make them aware, especially Taylor, that these are not healthy kinds of relationships here. So I just want people to have a little bit of grace with these women. Um, the other thing too is so I listened to Taylor's episode of the Vile Files uh last weekend, and first of all, kudos to her for just like you said, talking about the swinging situation, and she tried to explain that as best as she could, and I could hear the pain in her voice of even talking about that. But she also goes to talk about a sexual experience that she does not believe was sexual assault. And Taylor, if you ever hear this episode, um, I'm here to tell you, you said a lot of the things that I used to say about myself and my rape here in Utah. And I used to say that I had to have consented in some capacity. And I even share that in the episode that I just released about my story. And one of those things was that because I pointed to a condom box, it was my belief system that I was giving him consent to have sex with me. I was drugged. I didn't really know what was going on, and I was blacking out in between all of this. And Taylor mentions that she was blackout drunk when this occurred. And hearing her get emotional and talk about these things, it's like I know you're a rape survivor too. Can you talk to me about that? Like, did you victim blame yourself? Did you have kind of like those internalized feelings for a while as you untangled what actually happened to you?
So there's like been one, two, three main rapes that I could think about. Um,
Yeah.
and like For the longest time, I didn't. Well, like, I don't know. It's hard to accept that they're rape sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because, like, this one guy, for instance, I went to my friend's Halloween party and I thought he was cute. I thought he was hot, but
yeah,
doesn't mean I want to screw him. I am actually like a type of person that I'm like, okay, let's like build. Let's, build into that.
yeah.
And I was having fun making out with him.
Hmm.
And it's actually interesting looking back at it too, because the next morning, I like my whole face was scruffed up.
Oh,
My whole chin was raw.
oh my gosh.
I had like scrapes on my nose and scrapes on my lips and stuff. And I kind of made it a joke and sent it to all my friends and kind of laughed about it, me being like, "Oh, I had some rough sex last night." And but it was how it led up to it. So we were making out. Everyone was like upstairs or gone. And so he lives there with like three other people.
Hmm.
And I went to high school with one of the guys. I even went to high school with him. And I never really like hung out with him in high school, but I was like, oh, he's cute.
Yeah,
And I'm always kind of like, well, not now, but like always was kind of looking for like a relationship and this and that. And we're making out. Sorry, I don't know why it's taking me forever to get to this point. But we're making out, and then
take your
he
time.
keeps just going to try to go further.
Yeah,
I keep trying to push him away, like his hands away, and I just say, "No, I just want to make out. No, I just want to make out." And then he asks, and I don't like still if I'm going up to your room, it doesn't mean I want to have sex with you.
exactly.
So we end up just like going to his room for like a little bit more privacy because also like, oh wait, actually no. And it's a little bit blurry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no,
I think this is the
don't
first time I'm
apologize.
also telling this story out loud. Um, so we're making out downstairs actually, and he keeps trying to shove his dick in me. And I keep telling him, no, I just want to make out. I just want to make out. And then he's strong. He's so strong, like they always are.
Mhm.
And then he just like shoves my panties to the side and puts it in. And then I can't remember if, because I was like so like drunk, I
Yeah,
can't remember if like how we ended up upstairs, but obviously like we had sex. And I didn't want to. So that's considered rape.
yeah, yeah,
Um, and it didn't tell it take like it took me a while to realize like maybe like 6 year or yeah, like 5 or 6 years because then you're in the true crime scene and people are sharing their stories and then you're like, oh,
oh,
that
yeah,
happened to me too.
correct. Yep, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then like there was another time, but I honestly I tried like I the only way I can make sense of that was to be like, okay, like I need to try to get into this relationship. I need to try to make him my boyfriend.
yeah,
And then we did hook up a few other times. And then, and those were like consented,
yeah,
but it started from me feeling like I needed to actually like, and I got attached because that's what happens with sex with me. And that's why I didn't want to do it.
yeah.
And that's why I said no. And then he ends up ghosting me. And my good friends live in that house. And he literally goes and he starts like living back with his parents for a moment. And then
Ah,
I'm at Cinco de Mayo, and then I send him texts here and there, but he'll reply here and there, but then he's telling everybody that I'm like needy and I won't leave him
mm,
alone and stuff. And then I go to Cinco de Mayo, and then he like brings like a bottle of alcohol, and I didn't do anything with him that night because he was like apparently over me.
jeez.
And well, like, and then I haven't seen or heard from him in like weeks, and he was not like going to the house.
Yeah.
And then, and we were all hanging out there, and literally, like, he goes and he like has a talk with like the other guy of the house that I know and stuff. And something happens where I'm not ever invited back.
Mm, yeah.
And all those friends that I thought were friends literally like talk shit about me. Where like she's needy, she's this and that, but it all happened because he fucking raped me, and I felt the need to like somehow make that relationship work because I had sex, or because like he ended up having sex with me.
That is,
So, yeah, totally get it.
thank you for sharing that. I know that's not easy. And but it goes to show that when you are raped, the amount of time it takes to actually admit that to yourself. I'm not saying that's for every survivor, but it took me up until 5 years ago. And my rape happened in 2006. And that is a massive amount of time. But just as you said, once I started working in the true crime industry, having this conversation with multiple women, even the first survivor that I ever interviewed, I told her, and I share that in my episode too, of just like, you actually made me realize that I was raped, because this whole time I was carrying that as I had to have consented at some point, because I allowed this stranger into my dorm room. I'm 18 years old. I want to drink alcohol. This is what college life is. That's everything that I told myself. And I had just had sex for the very first time the month prior. And so it was like, okay, well then that's just how college life is. Like, you have sex. You have sex, and maybe you do it irresponsibly. I don't know. But going through that with all these different survivors and talking over and over and over and hearing all of these horrific stories, that's why listening to Taylor's episode and hearing how emotional she got about it, and again, and I think that is deeply rooted, one, in her faith background with the Mormon religion, which I have shared that I have married into a Mormon family, and I have a stronger understanding of that culture as well. But it goes without saying that you too had that hard time of like grappling with what actually happened to you. And then on the flip, you're trying to make a relationship out of it. And you're trying, you know what I mean? Like, it is the most backwards thinking one. But I think the more we talk about it, I hope that helps more survivors kind of understand that it is kind of a process to get to that point of saying, this is what happened to me. So knowing that Taylor has put that out there and has started that conversation too, I think is really important. And it still looks like she's still going through some shit right now too. And I think doing so on such a large scale, and you are also someone who's been able to amplify your stories and amplify your trauma. Do you feel like after doing that, could you kind of be kinder to yourself after being able to have that out there in the world?
Yes and no. Like, at times it is this big heavy thing that still like weighs over my head, and that's part of the reason why I'm not really talking about my story anymore, you know what I mean? Or
Yeah,
like talking
exactly.
about the attack and stuff
Yeah.
because it just lingers.
Hmm.
And I don't want to have it linger. I want to like I see you have your baby and stuff, and I'm like, I want that, but I don't want to be in the hole with my trauma and have a baby.
Hey, but that's literally the reason I started going to therapy a month after finding out I was pregnant. Because that was a moment when I knew, just as you said, I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not bringing my baby into this world and I'm not going to put that on her. And and have that fester in me. But knowing that you are already recognizing that, T, that is incredible. Just number one.
Thank you.
And but you're right. Like you don't want to be defined as your trauma. As but in the line of true crime, sometimes that's the only way people recognize us
Yeah.
is
Well, yeah. And I have like this big, extensive like trauma where I got stabbed.
yeah,
I had to defend myself and I killed that person in self-defense.
yeah,
And then it's like oh, I don't know. Like there's so much trauma and it's funny because like I didn't realize how much trauma I actually had until I
yeah,
started doing EMDR for the trauma that happened with John.
yeah,
And so you're like, I'm processing it kind of in real time, but it's like the reason why I was able to survive in that instance is because I think I was done taking shit.
yeah.
I didn't, well, and then I get really protective over other people, just not myself.
Mm, I get that feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know, like for you too, like, there's so many traumas that I don't want people to think that I'm consistently like playing the victim,
Yes.
but it's
Mm,
right.
hmm. I know that all too well.
Yes. But it's important to talk about it and call these
Yes.
people out if you
Yep.
feel safe to do so.
Yeah.
And guess what? I killed a man in self-defense. I talked about that. And
Yeah.
so that kind of has been the setting stone
It
of
is.
like sharing stories because when you like start in that and you get a little taste of media bug and stuff and you're like actual random people care where like other people don't at times,
Yeah.
and it's so refreshing to have those survivors that you could bond with,
Yeah.
and that's why I share. That's why I feel like you share too, and other
Exactly.
reasons.
Yeah. And it's this continued inspiration for people to keep hearing these stories because it will hopefully wake them up to it. I mean, I attribute a lot of my silence breaking to other survivors before me, and that is so important. But the other issue is being somebody who has been in the media for breaking our silence, that's also weaponized against us. And that's also happening to Taylor as well, because there is no perfect victim. We all fuck up. All of us. I've fucked up. You have fucked up. Taylor is fucked. We've all fucked up. You know what I mean? But it's the fact that we are growing as humans. It's the fact that we are trying to raise awareness about this. I know you are also passionate about the Menendez brothers, and for me as well about learning what they were actually going through and being molested and abused by their father. I grew up in a house living in LA, the Menendez brothers was like talking about the devil when I was little. And I finally had that aha moment. I can't remember what documentary it was, and I want to say this was back in like 2020.
Peacock.
Was it Peacock?
Well, they just did that was like the newer one where they did talk about the Menundo the band Munundo, and the father.
Oh, Menudo. Um, it was like years ago. I can't
Okay.
remember what it was, but it was the first time that I had heard the full allegations, if you will, against the dad. And then they were interviewing, I believe, the dad's sister and like other family members who were like, we had direct knowledge that that was going on. And then they were like barred from actually testifying that in court. And I was enraged. I mean, that was a moment where I was like, oh, the media has fully spun that. Same with Lorena Bobbitt. That's another woman that when I watched the Lorena docu series, um, one of the best series I've ever seen done on TV, actually. And watching her in that courtroom and then watching how the media took that and ran with it and was like, look at this crazy woman. She was shaking, she was crying. This is how great of an actor she is. And da, da, da. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you? That is a traumatized woman, first of all, and I remember being so enraged. And this was a time where I was self-isolating. So I didn't really have like survivors to connect with to unpack that. But it goes to show that over these courses of generations, and we're watching this type of domestic violence and intimate partner violence in the media. This is why I think it's so important that you and I are having this conversation right now. And then something like Secret Lives is so prevalent and was a wild success. Um, and again, and it's just I see so much of myself in Taylor and, having those hard realizations. But when
Uh,
when you reached out to me about the show, you were like, do we talk about this on a podcast? Like,
yes. And also with the Menendez brothers, I do kind of waver back and forth at times. Like I do think they are victims.
yeah,
That is 100%.
yeah,
However, I don't know them personally,
yeah,
and I don't know if they would be great people in society.
yeah.
That's my
That's
only concern, you know?
hmm And I think I mean, they too, they're gonna need a lot of therapy. I mean, I can't imagine going through everything that they went through, then being put in prison, and how are they going to integrate back into society if that does come to fruition that they do get out. And just like you, I don't know them either. But understanding that being victimized by a parent is a whole other level. I actually just started watching Sarah Turney's doc last night,
Oh, yes. So
and
proud.
yeah, and I know Alyssa's story here and there, but I think being able to watch it, I'm not done yet, but that's another one, that breaks my heart because she was being monitored 24/7, you know.
Sorry. Well, like, like we both know Sarah, and
Yeah.
it's a hard, it's especially a hard watching your friend talk about their trauma
Yeah.
and you not being able to just be there in that moment with them and give them a hug and let them know that they are so great, that they are doing something so incredible. And I'm sorry, I just like watching
Oh,
that documentary, like her talking about her childhood trauma.
yeah. That was hard.
And I
And
love
it's a
her.
hard watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
she is. I mean, I know she's been brought up already on multiple episodes with different survivors, but if that doesn't tell you how impactful she has been in our community, um, but being able to see that footage of Alyssa and knowing what Sarah had to go through, still goes through. Um, but that, like My husband went on a Costco run last night when I started watching it, and he came in, and I'm already emotional just watching it. But but again, I hope people don't really, how do I say this? When you come out with your story and you are sharing the rawest, hardest parts of it, please have grace with these people, please. And that's why I want to stress that to Taylor because, she is such a big name right now, and I do see people having a bit more mindfulness and kindness, towards her, but I think it goes without saying that that takes a ton of bravery, that takes a ton of resilience, being able to call that out. So anyone listening, we don't know each other's stories. I can't tell Taylor's story. I'm just sharing, what I'm observing, on the, back end and being a Utah myself. Um, but it is important that we save space for every survivor that does
Yeah.
this. And I know you shared your story about Halloween on
Oh
your
yeah.
social media the other day. And when I first saw the post, and I'm like, look at all these cute, like, pictures of you on Halloween and your little picture of you when you were a kiddo. And then I scroll down to read what you wrote. And that broke my heart because, again, I saw so much of myself in what you wrote. And it is hard. It is hard to have those anniversaries. It is hard to remember something so traumatic, but equally you love Halloween, you love Universal Horror Nights, you love The Walking Dead, like that's what hurts my heart for you because it's like there
Halloween
is,
is a different energy too, I feel like on that
yeah,
day.
yeah.
Like, well, and that's why I go to horror nights. And I'm sorry. I want to hug you right now too.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Um,
I want to hug you always. We
but
have so many all these conversations, yeah.
right, but Halloween, like horror nights, is like if I were to go on Halloween, I
Yeah.
feel like it would still be a different energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like that airy feeling on Halloween. I
Mm,
don't know, like how I get
hmm.
on Friday the 13th sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. And
But
we're, yeah, only a couple days away.
yeah, and it's like people drinking,
Hmm.
people inhibiting their brains, the prefrontal cortex of the brain,
Hmm.
and like losing their inhibitions and everything. And well, I don't drink,
Yeah.
and drinking doesn't make me feel necessarily like safe. And
Yeah.
I'm a huge person where if you touch me, I need consent.
Yep.
And
Every time.
right, right.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's why I don't know, like dating, everything, it's so hard because
Mm. Hmm.
people don't get your personal space. Or like I dated this guy in July, and not the guy that raped me, but a different guy. And he didn't even get my pants off, let's just say that. Or shirt off, any of those. Um
Oh, I love
and
you.
but when he tried to kiss me,
Hmm.
he was like, fuck it. How is that consent?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that. And that's a whole other beast, dating as a survivor, because I mean, again, my story with Billy was about unconsented touching with me, even though it seems like I know people have minimized my story so many times with both him and Kissel, and that's why I told my story the way I told it, because people need to understand that it may seem so small to them, but the fact that the night that I thought I was going to be murdered by my partner was in a bathroom, I couldn't breathe. My breathing was cut off. He was a bodybuilder, and I'm 5'2". Kissel is 6'7", and he's blocking the door in a bathroom filled with glass. And all I could think of was that he could just destroy me in here. And the fact that people have the audacity to say that I was being dramatic. Oh, he came to my room. So what? It's like I kept telling him, I will go and get you an edible. I will go by myself and bring this down to you. Same with Billy. I will bring this down to you. I don't know how many fucking times I said it to him and in how many different ways I said it to him. Did not care. And still went into my hotel room, even fucking said when I got to the door, all right, I'll just quickly grab it and bring it. Nope. He let himself in. And so when you're talking about you are someone who doesn't like to be touched without consent, same. Because it's like, again, once you're violated like that, it is, I'm sorry. Like I so appreciate every single person who's like, can I hug you? May I hug you? Even just that. I'm like, thank you. Thank you for asking. Yes, you
Right?
may.
Can I hug you? Perfect consent.
Yep. Yep. And usually half the time I'll say yes, unless you are someone I'm not sure about. But oftentimes, like we as survivors, our trauma lives in our body. It lives in our nervous system. We may not be able to verbalize sometimes of when a trigger happens. Trust me, I gaslit myself for the last 2 years after I came out about my story with Billy and Ben because I kept thinking like, why am I having these feelings and why did that feel so bad? And finally, once I started writing out my script for the episode, it was like, oh, it's all there. Like this all makes sense. And Billy was very fucking aware that I was a survivor. And you know what? I have never called this out publicly. Anytime that I spoke about my story in 2019, when I first broke my silence, Billy was someone who liked my social media posts pretty regularly, would never engage with any of my posts as about me as a survivor. Ever. Ever. And this was someone who would watch my Instagram stories pretty within like 5 minutes of me posting them. So
Well,
there
he's
you go.
on it, he's on the social media.
Hmm. Hmm. Regularly.
Oh my gosh. You know what was like what he said to me that like stood, I don't think I mentioned it on your episode, but like it stuck with me for a long time. And I feel like I'm so slow to getting this stuff out right now. I'm sorry, guys, but this is what happens when you talk about trauma.
Yeah.
So he told me it was like I was wearing this one mini skirt. It was actually in one of the nights that he like groped me and stuff. It was October, was it 15th or 18th? And it was a true crime meetup. And I was wearing a black like bodysuit that was long sleeve. And then I was wearing a plaid skirt, but it was like a skirt because I love
Yeah.
my skirts. And because like you can't get access, dude.
Hmm.
It's harder
Hmm.
to get access.
Hmm.
And literally, he told me, he was like, I like what you're wearing right now. There's been times where you have like, as, and this isn't like word for word, you know,
Yeah.
but he was basically telling me that I have dressed really frumpy at times, and that it wasn't like he like that didn't basically get his juices going. what stuck in my mind was like,
Disgusting.
okay, every single time I go out with like a man that I like or something in the future, I have to wear, or just like even around him. I don't know. It was just the appeasing in me,
Yeah.
even though I knew, like, well, actually, I didn't know it was fucked up at the time, but
Yeah.
it's emotional manipulation. And I wore skirts, dresses, everything if I ever went on a date with anyone. And then it
Yeah.
was funny because later that night, I was associating it with the guy that I was gonna fuck later because I was dating this comedian at the time.
Yeah. Ugh. But see, but it's down to that. It's down to what you wear. Like, that's what I'm saying. And that's what I want people to understand. It is not just this happened to me. Okay, I'm, a little wary about men. No, it goes into every single way you navigate around men. And that is um, also something that I'm going to be opening up more about. But equally, when I started the Bundy Project and started meeting survivors and really talking to them, I started gaining weight pretty rapidly. And I finally had a breakthrough, like in therapy, I think like a year and a half ago, where I said, it finally dawned on me that I didn't want to be noticeable. I didn't want men to look at me. I didn't want them to sexualize me. And the only way I can do that is if I make myself the most unattractive that I could ever be. And so holding on to that weight and feeling like I had to hide, which is so often with survivors. Like I know a couple other survivors who have experienced the same thing where they were like, I started just, you know, eating what I could because I didn't want to be looked at. And I remember that feeling of after my assault being catcalled and, like just constantly sexualized. I mean, I just found my fucking senior high school yearbook this past weekend, and my husband and I are going through reading what, people would say in 2005. And I highly recommend not doing that because every person probably would be canceled. But I can't
Yes.
get, and it was the early 2000s, so it was already a testy area. But how many times my breasts were mentioned in that yearbook was insane to me. Like, but if that doesn't go to show how far I took it to make sure that I wouldn't be victimized again because I looked this way. So then now, after losing 100 pounds and still being on this mission to get my body back to where it used to be before like my extreme trauma hit from being raped, it's a whole new mind shift of that, of saying my body is for me and my health matters. I want to be around with my daughter for as long as I can be and be the healthiest person that I can be, minus my Dr. Peppers. But
You're in
but
Utah.
but I'm in
It's the
Utah, so
norm.
exactly. So that's just a thing. But it goes like everything that you were saying, you know what I mean? But it makes sense that you're like, okay, well, I wear a dress, I wear a skirt, like when I go out, but it's like it goes that far and it's that deep of trauma rooted in you. So thank you for being so vulnerable about that too. And
Thank you.
yeah,
I don't know why I changed my outfits for a while.
hey. I mean, I'm constantly just walking around in like sweatshirts and leggings at all times.
Oh,
So
I'm wearing like a t-shirt
yeah.
and
Oh, who's that? Wait, is that dog supposed to be Prince?
yeah.
I love it.
Oh, and I'm wearing shorts right now. Or briefs. Boxer briefs.
You are in the comfort of your home. So you wear whatever you want to wear, but oh my
Me, I'm
gosh.
wearing t-shirts and a boxer brief right now because I'm basically wearing guys' pajamas.
I love it. Oh, I love it. But well, T, like this was such a raw conversation, and I truly am grateful that, you're in my life and you have been such a role model for me to do what I'm doing today, talking about my story, not feeling ashamed of being a victim of intimate partner violence, and being a DV survivor. All of that took me so many years to be able to verbalize it. And I do attribute a lot of that to you and watching you do the damn thing and, standing up to the bullies, that do exist in this true crime community, because Lord knows they exist.
Uh,
But yeah, I so appreciate you and your friendship. And I just hope, any survivors who are listening to this just know your trauma is valid. You are a human, and however long that takes you to, come to terms with your truth, it's your timeline, it's your healing journey. And, you know, again, it's because of people like yourself. And I do believe you have saved lives and you have been such a pioneer in this space and for all of us. So
Thank you. I don't know why I started to get excited. Probably because of news I told you about earlier.
1000%, which is, yeah, which just will confirm everything that I'm saying. So, and
Thank you.
that, and I'm manifesting for you.
And then thank you for I'm like I know this is your podcast and stuff. But thank you for being vulnerable as well and sharing your story and putting it out there. And it's a bit like there's a lot of similarities with some of my traumas, but
Yeah,
then it also is different at times.
yeah,
So there needs to be a wide variety that we talk about,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's not easy to put out your story.
yeah, yeah. 1000%. Also, I just want to say this before we hop. I have a survivor whose episode will be coming out next Wednesday. And she actually listened to our episode before we started recording, and she is a cult survivor. And she just had the most lovely things to say about you too. And I
A
really
cult
do.
survivor?
Mhm.
Someone that I knew?
No, I don't think
No.
so.
And
Mm-mm.
okay, well, thank you.
She, yeah, but it just warmed my heart that she came on and she's like, I just finished your and Tara's episode. And so, and she was very, very, very nervous, to do the interview in itself. And, so just know that you're still helping survivors share their story, even up until that moment that they get on the mic and talk about it. So, like I said, I know there are so many people in this small community, friends of ours, that, are doing the damn thing, but you're changing lives and you're making it happen. So just know
Thank
that.
you. Thanks, you are too.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. And this is True Crime in Hollywood off script. So bye.
Bye.